Attention musicians of all levels. It's not always easy picking out a song by ear. Sometimes you need a little help. Well, I have the app for you. Whether you're a professional musician or a beginner, Ultimate Guitar is an amazing app. For just $2.99, you get the chords and tabs on guitar, bass, or ukulele for over 1 million songs. They're all available at your fingertips. You also get tools like a tuner, metronome, chord library, lessons, videos, and more. You can find out any song you want. It also has like transpose button. It has auto scroll that you can change the speed to so you can play along with the song. A lot of the songs have the lyrics there so you can sing along with them. Ultimate Guitar is an amazing app. Just go to ultimateguitar.com or download the app to your phone today and start playing. Start playing any song you want. Ultimate Guitar, that's the place for you. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good week. South by Southwest rolled in this week. The Tech and Education Conference is in town. All kinds of stuff is going on. Music starts next week. It's all going crazy. The awards were this week. I wasn't able to go to the awards this week because Skyrocket actually played a show on Tuesday. It was actually a really fun show. Turned out to be a really fun show because normally like a corporate show, that's like a 6:30 to 9:30 on a Tuesday, corporate kind of like happy hour, barbecue plates kind of thing. You'd think, you know the crowd's going to be a little dispersed. They might get a little into it towards the end, but they're at a conference. They're there to do business. They're there to meet Sue in accounting or whatever the hell they're doing. But this crowd was completely different. After the third song, they were locked in like it was a Skyrocket concert. Like they bought tickets to come to this concert. I'm not joking. Like this tent we were playing in filled up. People were crazy and engaged the entire time, going nuts, singing along, having a great time. They actually demanded an encore at a corporate party that's like 6:30 to 9:30 on a Tuesday. It was super fun. It was a great time. We had a great time. And that doesn't always happen at those corporate things. So that was a nice surprise. We were all talking about it at rehearsal on Wednesday, and we were excited about our show tonight, Friday, March 11th at Sam's Burger Joint in San Antonio. Come on out. Could be have the time of your life with Skyrocket. That's what I'm here to say. Have the time of your life with Skyrocket tonight at Sam's Burger Joint. If you live in San Antonio, come on out. Also, as I said, South by Southwest is rolling in. Panels are starting. I was asked to speak on a panel that's put on by Uni Streaming, which is a streaming platform that will be streaming only independent music. And they put together a panel of folks to talk about creating the future of the music industry. That's right. Talking about music tech, talking about Web3, something I'm probably going to learn about at this panel, which I'm going to be real excited about. That's taking place tomorrow, Saturday, March 12th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Moon Tower Cider Bar. And there's a meet and greet or whatever from 11 to 12. That's what's going on. And then 12 to 1:40 is the actual panel. And on the panel is Web 3.0 musician VSN, Sly Rock, who is a brand expert and creative director, and today's guest, Holly Hagerman, who's founder of AmptUp.com, which is a new booking website. I'll tell you all about it in just a second. But come on out to the Future of the Music Industry panel tomorrow, Saturday, March 12th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Moon Tower Cider Bar. As I said, I have a great show for you today. I have a conversation with a really fantastic, interesting person, Holly Hagerman. She has founded this new website that is here to streamline booking for both venues and musicians in ways that is almost hard to understand if you've been a touring musician for a long time. AmptUp.com, you can go to it. You can take one of their 2-minute video tours, and you can sign up for you can sign up to schedule a preview with them if you're a musician or you're a venue. They're really changing it up. If everybody signs up on it, this could be a really big game changer for booking. All kinds of stuff will be completely, even getting paid. You'll get paid through the website. And there's no subscription fees. There's only a 10% fee for every gig actually booked. So that's all you really pay for. You won't be chasing money around because they'll be paying you through the website. You won't have to deal with your W-9 or whatever because it'll all be filled out through the website. Your contracts, all of your assets, everything. They're here to transform music culture. That's what they're trying to do, and to make each city a music city. And they're starting out here in Austin, and she talks about why she's actually from Texas. AmptUp is actually having a big launch event this Monday, March 14th from 12 to 3 here in Austin, Texas at the Green Jay, featuring music from last week's guest, Scott Strickland, Fragile Rock, who's been on the show, one of my favorite bands in town, and the great Natalie Price, who was just in the Austin Music Foundation Artist Development Program. You're going to hear her song Butterfly in a minute before we get into our conversation. But yeah, come on out to that. The AmptUp launch event, Monday, March 14th, noon to 3 at the Green Jay here in Austin. So without further ado, let's talk to the amazingly talented game changer, Holly Hagerman from AmptUp.com. Let's get down.
Butterfly, shriveled wings, trying to stretch into the spring.
It's hard to get something going like a band, like a career playing gigs, like a new form of a new way to do something that's been done the same way for decades. You know what I mean? It's hard to get going on something. It's hard to get noticed. And you're launching here at South by Southwest, where sometimes, I don't know what this South by Southwest is going to be like, but I've likened it before. Wouldn't it be funny if my podcast was just me talking to you and you never said anything except thank you and goodbye? No, but
I agree with you. And, I think I have questioned a couple times, is Austin the right place? Because there's so much noise there in terms of, clutter around, especially around the music tech space. But
how are you going to start what you're doing without being in a space like that, right? You're not going to go to Des Moines and try and start this.
Exactly.
Like 3 bands and 2 clubs.
I read an article once that said they were like interviewing or doing a survey with West Point grads. And what they found was that it had nothing to do with their grades or their marks or anything. It was rated entirely on their level of grit and their persistence on whether or not they completed and made it through. And I just think, and they have a lot of studies with children as well, that like, if you tell a child, oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're so smart. You can do this. But they're not going to finish. They'll wimp out in the middle. But if you say, this is hard, you're really persistent, you're trying really hard, they tend to make it all the way through. So I think that most of any of this, whether you're starting a band or breaking into a new market or doing something, changing the status quo, it's really about grit on whether or not you're going to make it to the other side.
Yeah. What are you going to do at this launch party? It's on March 14th during South by Southwest from noon to 3 at the Green Jay here in Austin. What's the programming for that?
Well, the first is a big effing celebration for 2 years of really hard work and long hours, celebrating the team, celebrating the VIP musicians who have believed in us. I mean, we have, for example, Scott Strickland and Natalie Price. They were our first 3 or 4 members on the site. So they're going to play there. We've got them. We also have Fragile Rock who's playing.
Oh, yeah.
At the show. So we've got 3 local VIP musicians on that are going to play at the event. I'm going to walk people through the platform. We're also going to have a update from Pat Bukta with the Austin, Texas musicians. And he's going to walk through what's going on with the Live Music Fund, when those funds are going to be distributed, what's happening there. And then we're also going to have a vote for a couple of different things. The first are the next features musicians want to see on our site. So this is a chance for musicians to design their dream music website, booking website. So we're going to have 4 or 5 options there. They can vote on that. And they can also vote for their favorite music venue to play at in Austin. And then at the end of the week, we'll have a celebration with venues, and we'll distribute the Musician's Choice Award for that. And of course, lots of free food and drink.
Fantastic. Free drink?
Of course.
Oh,
you can't have a South by Southwest party without free drinks. I mean, I believe that you really can't have any really successful party without a little bit of hot magic.
Here's the deal: is I'm going to this bitchin' party on Sunday night, like a bitchin' party.
I want an invite.
I will probably, I have a +1 because this chick just dumped me again, and so I have a free. And so I will. Well,
and I've got my husband who's French. He's never seen like this kind of party scene. So,
you guys, you guys live in Austin normally because you're in France right now, but you live.
Yeah, we're in France right now. No, we don't live in Austin normally. I'm a native Texan, but we kind of we've been very nomadic in the last 2 to 3 years with the pandemics and family health issues. We have our home in Portland, Oregon, place in, family in Texas, family in France. So we kind of move between those 3 places pretty regularly.
So real quick, I will have summarized a little bit of the site, and I want you to kind of talk us through it. And this isn't necessarily what the show normally is, but we'll get into some personal stuff about you. Normally I go through an artist life, but these are when someone comes up with a game-changing idea, I think it's important for us to discuss it and to hear about it because things have changed without our choice over the last couple of years, and now it's a good time to reinvent, like to come back with a new purpose and to be able. And this is what I find so exciting about AmptUp. But before you talk about before you get into describing the thing, what would make you do this here and not in Portland? Started in Austin.
That's a really good question, and I put a lot of thought into it. It wasn't just because of my native roots in Texas. Because there is a bustling music scene in the Northwest. You've got Seattle just 3 hours away. There are people in Portland that say that we actually have a greater live music scene than Austin. I don't have statistics on that, so I won't back that up. But
there's a constant competition, like who's weirder, who has more bands.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they just they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to keep Portland weird in bigger letters on the side of a bigger building. Why Austin? There are a number of reasons. Some of them are pandemic related. Some of them are business related. Some of them are context related. So first of all, Austin is the music capital of the world. Has to be said. It's been said 1,000 times before, but the music scene is bustling with independent artists, and that's who we want to connect with. It's also in the center of the country. So in terms of branching out east and west, we have options of which direction we're going to go.
All right.
In terms of the pandemic, this idea started April of 2020. So, I knew based on my experience in Texas that it was likely to open up faster and get its live music scene back into operation quicker with fewer restrictions. And then, maybe Portland might lag a couple months to 6 months behind. And then on top of that, you've got an audience's willingness to go out to these shows. Right. So I felt like we had a little bit of time to get into some of these other locations. And then, of course, I'm a native Texan there, and I have a lot of roots and connections. My uncle lived out in Fredericksburg, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Also, there's yeah, like you said, you have the guy from Austin, Texas musicians. Like there is an infrastructure here for musicians, like healthcare, mental health
That's
care.
exactly
The
right.
Austin Music
That you-
Foundation, Black Fret, like that. I think Black Fret just moved to Portland, didn't they, or to Seattle or something?
Oh, I'm not sure about
They
that. I was
branched out.
hoping to speak with them soon because that's creating a steady stream of grants for musicians and artists is an important part of our business model. So I've been wanting to talk with them because we need a distributor of those funds. But that you actually hit on the kind of the fourth most important reason, which is the infrastructure is well developed there in terms of community partners that we could connect with.
That's the one thing that I feel really like outside of just the general vibe of it and the history of it all. Every scene has its history and has its moments of sort of glory, but Austin is kind of like really stuck to that and really, as a city, put its money where its mouth is and stuff, which is, I mean, people have their problems with it, but I don't think people here realize how good they have it. That's a question.
Yeah,
for
I think
another...
so. I think
Sorry. Go ahead.
I think the Live Music Fund is a great example of that the city officials, the Music Commission have made that a priority to use hotel tax money. And that was before the pandemic. The only unfortunate thing is that it hasn't been distributed out to the people who need it yet during such a hard time. But, they did have the forethought to put that together and link it directly to tourism. And I think that's really smart.
Yeah. All right, so I signed up for AmptUp or signed up on AmptUp.com, and I'm on the VIP, on the beta group. And as far as like so far, one day in, it's user friendly, and just the sign up thing is very easy for any musician that's going that way, that's listening right now. But there's a reason. This whole thing is very revolutionary in sort of the amount of work that it takes out of the artist and the booking agent on the venue side. Like the amount of work it kind of takes off the table, and it has like a one-stop shop feel and everything. And the main thing that I would get to, I want to talk about before you describe it, is what led you to want to start this?
Well, as they say, it was a dark and stormy night when this idea came to fruition. So my husband and I, he is a musician. He's toured nationally around Europe. He's worked at some of the greatest concert halls and venues like the Cannes Film Festival and the Monaco Sporting. And he had grown up with something that is a mix between rehearsal studio space and like a cafe and bar and a small concert space. It was just like this musician hub that was funded by the government. And so he had always wanted to do something like that. So I was working on the business plan for that. And it was been working on it and thinking about it for many years, and sat down to work on the business plan actually on the night of my birthday, April 2020, when the whole world had shut down. And I just kept feeling like, this is going to be fun. It will get it up and moving probably at the end of the pandemic because there's a lot to do here, but it's not going to help people in the way that I'd like to make an impact. And it's just not going to help enough people either. Right. And with my background in digital marketing, it made sense. And there was just this light bulb moment. And after that point, I couldn't sleep for 3 months. I was up every night working on this. In addition to my day job, I had another business that I had built over the last decade. And I mean, I just literally couldn't sleep. I was like, this is it. This is like, why has nobody done this? And then I come to find out that there are variations on this, but clearly they're not functioning well because I regularly booked music in my previous business and I would just find people's business cards at like farmers markets and things like that. And half the time they didn't even have a business card. So I would write them down on my, on my spreadsheet, and I'd go to the spreadsheet every time we had a client event. And I was like, it should be a lot easier to find musicians. And we saw all of our friends losing their livelihood, shutting down, losing tens of thousands of dollars in residencies. And I just felt like we needed to make a bigger impact. And because I am not a musician, I'm, bring the business side of things. A lot of the music sites that are out there, they say, it's buy us for us. I'm a musician. I've been toured all over the place, and these are the problems I've had. But what it allows me to do is do deep listening, because I have to make sure that, I'm not building something for myself or for my husband. I'm building something for the people that have a problem that needs to be solved. And so we've done hundreds of hours of deep listening, one-on-one, 2 and 3 hour average meetings to hear what the problems are and build something that solves that. So that's sort of the genesis of all of this.
Okay, so then you started it up, and this is basically, let's see. You want to transform music culture so that any city can become a music city. And you're going to reconstruct and democratize live music. Now, will this be an app eventually?
Yeah, eventually it will be an app. We're going to work. Definitely mobile app is going to be crucial for our users who are on the go all the time.
Okay, so this is like a one-stop shop booking site where you can, as an artist, be discovered by venues and event hosts. You can use their database to find and pitch to the right venues. You can book instantly in 2 steps. So that means that you reach out to the venue, or the venue reaches out to you. That's step 1. You both agree, and once you agree, then there's an automation process that happens, right?
Yep,
and
exactly right.
Sends a contract, all of the assets you need, photos, stage plot, W9 or 2, or
yeah, sort of. So you're absolutely right. What is very different about the way we do things? So something like Reverb Nation or Sonic Bids, or those, even Gig Salad. They're really about the discovery. Like, come on our site, you'll be discovered. Just make sure that you pay your, $12.99 every month. And and by the way, you can see this other tier and this other tier. And then once you get up to $23.99, then you'll really be like smoking with your business. So first of all, we just heard from musicians that subscriptions are a pain, they don't work, they're not sustainable, they're expensive. So we did away with them completely. So we only have a booking fee if a person gets booked. Right. So there's no risk to using it. And
it's only 10%, just so people know.
That's just right. It's significantly less than any average agent costs. Agents who we welcome and we love, but they're oftentimes, what I hear is that their fees are 15 to 20%, and they're oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes on everything that a musician books, even if that musician books it themselves. So it is significantly less expensive, and a portion of that goes to creating the steady stream of grants I mentioned earlier. But so we're part discovery, but in a really unique way. So unlike any other site on the internet for musicians that are being booked, not only can they find you, but you can find them. You can route tours, you can find the venues, you can pitch them, and do it all in a way that kind of cuts through the clutter. So that's the discovery side. But what I think people will love even more than that are the streamlining tools. So the contract every time, to make sure that all those nagging details that tend to tear relationships down, that those get cleared out and out of the way. Everybody's on the same page. Nothing gets missed. Like you said, stage plots, logos, photos, all of that are automatically exchanged. You did mention W-9s, and that is something that we handle completely. So you don't have to send out your social security number and private address out to 100 different people you've never met. But also the venues don't have to deal with it. And what has been surprising for me is that venues rate as one of their biggest headaches W-9 processing and hunting, because they have to hunt for them. So the venues don't have to do anything with W-9s anymore. We handle everything because of the way tax law works. It all goes through us. You don't have to send any of your information out. It's privately held on Stripe, which is our, one of the largest, most reputable payment processors
I just
in the
learned
world.
about that yesterday. Yeah.
Great. So those are some of the features that make it really useful. It's a two-way marketplace. You can pitch them, they can find you, and then there's lots of automation tools that make it easy.
That is amazing because there is like a I've booked gigs since the 80s and everything has changed so much. And now there are most venues, like any venues here in town that people deal with, like C3 venues, or if you play a gig at 310, there's a lot of like, hey man, you need to post this on this day at this time and all that stuff. And you got to send them this, and then you got to send them that. And it's all like, it ends up at the end of the thing, you go back and look at the email chain, there's easily 60, easily.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Things get missed.
Right.
Important things get missed. I was talking to one artist that had a really great relationship with a very large venue in their hometown, and they were in a different city. They had played a big event at this venue. They went to another city, and apparently somewhere in those email exchanges or maybe in a junk mail somewhere, that venue had requested that they do another show. But the night of the show, the artist was in another city playing another gig, and the venue calls and says, "Where are you? We have a line out the door waiting to see you." And he's like, "I'm 5 hours away. I've never heard about this event." So, things like that. And of course, he's never going to get booked there again. So, it can really impact a person's career.
Yeah.
One little detail, a missed email.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's also, you're trying to drive equality with this. That's a whole different level of it, because there's not just the logistics of booking a gig and stuff. There's actually you want to drive equality for women and LGBTQ plus and people of color. How does that happen?
In a number of ways. I think first it starts structurally and with a mentality and a commitment. So first, we've ensured that the ratio of people that work with us is sort of flip-flopped from the standard. So, maybe if there's normally 70 to 80% men, what happens if we flip-flop that around a little bit?
Right.
So we've made really big efforts to ensure that our team, our leadership team, is diverse and representative of people of color, of all of the demographics that we'd like to serve. So that's number one. Number two is with the subscription fees. So in terms of equality, when you have paywalls and subscription fees, then it's really only accessible to people that maybe come from wealthier backgrounds, or they're already at a certain place in their career. And it excludes a large majority of musicians that don't want to, can't pay those fees, especially when it's hard to gauge the return on investment for those sorts of things. So we wanted to make sure that we leveled the playing field in terms of access.
Right.
A third thing that we're working on, and this is in the works now, but we're already starting to track the data for it, is that musicians can self-report if they feel like they are from one of the historically marginalized communities, person of color, female, things like that. And then in the back end, so first of all, venues can infuse more diversity into their search results with the click of a button on the filters. But on the back end, privately for the venues, we have a diversity panel that will allow them to see, again, totally privately, totally, on the back end, not public. They can see how their hiring practices have been over time. And the social science studies show that the greatest impact on behavior change is first when you can see your own behavior charted out in terms of just awareness about what you've been doing over time. But the second most important element to behavior change, and this is really critical, is to see how you compare to your peers. And so what we will do on the back end is show venues, okay, you're hiring, you're hiring this many men and this many women, and you're paying men maybe 30% more than you're paying women on average, just so they can start to see it. But then they can see, and in your geographic area, the venues are hiring this many women and this many men and paying them proportionately in this way. So they'll get a little private alert to say, hey, you've reached certain standards or you're falling below them, just so they know kind of what's expected. Again, if it's not a priority for them, they don't need to do anything about it.
Right.
But if they do reach certain standards, they'll get a badge on the public facing website that just says that they're a diversity ally, so that musicians know that this is a welcoming place. I'll be treated fairly.
Yeah, that's important to know. There was something I was going to get back to about this that I thought that we might have overlooked.
Well, there was something that you mentioned that I loved. You were talking about musician choice and kind of taking things back. And I think that speaks to the two elements that we've really been talking about here, which is the diversity, which is all of the features involved. That I think that it's really important that we start putting, looking at those power dynamics and empowering musicians to fuel their career in a way that feels good for them, in a way that gives them some control.
Right.
And so every single thing on the site has been designed to do that, to empower the musicians, empower the venues so that they're equalized.
Yeah. So the other thing too was that there's you were talking about this when we had our meeting last week or a couple weeks ago about your social media numbers are all on your thing when the venue goes and sees it. It's also for the musicians too, can see what the venue's social media numbers are as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So that might be something that comes a little bit like in a couple of months. We have to work with the Facebook API to show the numbers, but they will have all the links for sure.
Yeah. As I said, this is, and I will have said this in the beginning, you're in your beta phase. You're figuring out how to do this. You're getting venues and you're getting musicians involved. Now this is a tough thing because this is the thing that's going to separate. Like Reverb Nation is a site. No offense to Reverb Nation, whoever invented it or whatever. It seems like it had all the best intentions, but to me, it's like a weird announcement place, and only musicians are there. I don't know any fan that goes there, but this is not a fan-driven site. But for it to work, everybody has to be there. You've gotten a number.
That is correct. Yeah, right. And this is how we've tackled that issue because I don't think it's any secret that venues will be probably the most challenging to get onto the site just because they were already challenging to get a hold of. I mean, any musician knows how hard it is to send that email off into the black void. So, however, what's been really interesting is that the musicians largely, I think all of the venues that we have on the platform so far have been introduced to us by the musicians on our platform. And so what that tells me is that even though they have a relationship with this venue and now they stand to lose 10% from that booking, that the features on the site are solving their problems in such a way that they're willing to broker that relationship and that introduction to us. But most importantly, like when I think about what we're trying to build, we're building this for music professionals that take themselves seriously or they want to. Maybe society or the status quo hasn't really embraced this idea that each musician can be their own business owner and stand in that place and be a true and proper business owner that tracks their revenue and expenses and, it needs an efficiency tool. Right. And that's what we're about, is changing that status quo. Because for some reason, we have all, as a society, agreed that musicians just make a certain amount of money and that they, they shouldn't be able to do it as a full-time job. They need to have another job. Of course they do, because that's just the way it is. Yeah. And we want to challenge that.
Yeah. So what I've gone through the pitch for a musician and it's all really good. It's you and this nice lady, Victoria, who's up in Jersey, living the dream. What is it for venues? Well, I mean, like when you've talked to venues, I mean, the venues that you've talked to, haven't they been like, holy shit, thank you? Like,
Gosh.
or now I don't have
Sort of,
anything to
yes.
do all day. Now I've really only
No,
worked 25 minutes a day.
Well, so what's interesting is we've just started approaching venues, which I wish that we could have done it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to do additional testing, beta testing with venues, where we go through and they do a flow and they give us specific feedback on the functionality. And so I wanted to make sure we had that in place because, I spent hours and hours talking with some really top venues and getting their feedback, and they were thrilled and excited and energized by this. And then I found it was really hard to get back in touch with them. And so I thought, oh man, okay, well, so I can't contact them until they can jump on and sign up, because then they're like, who are you again? I'm like, we had a 3-hour conversation.
Right.
It was 4 months ago. But, and so what I decided was we need to get everything in place so that when they see it, they can sign on and start booking. So that's what we did. So we're at the very early stages of getting venues on board. So venues, if you're listening, or musicians, if you have great relationships with these high quality venues that we're looking for, please send them our way. So interestingly, about, I would say 100% of all the musicians that we've been the same tour that I gave you to have all signed up to the platform, and enthusiastically. They have a really solid, great response to it. So they've either agreed to sign up or they've already done their profile.
Right.
Did you want to say something?
No, I was about to say that you came into my sphere of knowledge through Natalie Price, a fellow artist and friend, and you were just on her show too, right?
Yeah, I was.
She when she told me about it, she was very enthusiastic, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn by saying this to you, but she said I would work for them.
Well, we tried very hard to get her to join our team, and she turned me down because she has a beautiful music career that is blossoming and going places. So I support that.
Yeah.
But I told her at least 5 times, Natalie, anytime you want to come and work with us, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the kind of thing where, like, I mean, the fact that you can get, I did have a question. About you get paid through the app. Okay, so that's a huge thing for musicians listening. You're not sticking around until 3 a.m. when the guys cash it. You know what I mean? You can split after your gig if you need to.
Yep.
So
no creepy back rooms in a bar. You have to go searching for money or anything like that.
I've actually had some of the best times of my career doing that. So I can't really say that should be eliminated. But I will say at the point that I'm at in my life, when I finish a gig in San Antonio and I got to drive home and I finish at 1:30, hanging out until 3, being able to leave at 1:30 and get home at 2:45 is so much better than getting home at like 4:15 or 4:30. Anyway, but here's the question that I have about it is there are horror stories of people being stiffed, and that's not going to happen with some of these. Like, it doesn't happen to you at 3:10. You don't get stiffed. At some of the, Antones or Continental Club, you're not going to get stiff. But if you're out on the road, that's usually when it happens. Something happens.
Yeah, you don't have a relationship with the venues.
You got to chase a guy down forever. You know what I mean? Trying to get your money. Now this collects your money and you get paid, and it could be that night, the next day, or what happens if the venue is having is there any kind of do you guys have a guy that goes and yells at them or tries to break their legs or something?
So we do not negotiate or manage that deal. However, if you don't get paid, there will be consequences.
Right.
So first of all, you have a legal contract, absolutely. And that is something that the vast majority of musicians, I would say 90% of independent artists do not have for every one of their shows. So you're already protected with a legal contract. And I think that honestly, when we look at, just human nature, just having that clarity in writing, like, you owe me this if I do this, people rise to that occasion. And most of the time what has happened is it's like a lot of times it's miscommunications. So that settles that in a way. But let's say that you have everything in writing and you still don't get paid. First of all, we get the credit card information in advance when the contract is booked from the venue. So that automatically gets charged. Now, if you have a payment based on ticket sales, they have a one-click obligation that they have to just enter those ticket sales or those bar sales into that and click send. All their payment information is already set up in there. So it's possible that they could not do that. But we have already built in notification systems into our platform to repeatedly remind them and let them know of the consequences.
Right.
Now, if it's based on a flat fee, that goes out automatically. There's no interference unless they dispute the charge, and then there's a process for that.
Okay.
Now, if it's a ticket sales or bar sales, if it's ticket sales and they do not give us the ticket sales data within 48 hours, because we have the capacity of the venue, we can charge them, and it's in the contract that they'll be charged based on a sold out event with the terms of the agreement that have already been set. So if the musician's going to get 70% of ticket sales, we know the capacity of the location, then they will get, if they don't hear from them, they'll get 70% of a full show.
And I guess that most places...
There are no breaking needs involved on our side.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, good. So the other thing that you were going to do as outside of just driving equality, you also are going to be creating artist and venue grants with a portion of the booking fee. Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? Do you know? Or...
For me, what that looks like is we find a nonprofit distribution partner, like a Black Fret, who would be able to manage the legal tax obligations and distribute it to wonderful recipients. We want to make it as easy and simple as possible. So what I'm envisioning is that there will be several $1,000 grants. Now, all of this has to work with the business numbers. We have to keep the business going. And so I don't know at what level we'll do those grants and when we'll distribute those grants and how often. But we'll set aside a portion of every booking fee and then give it out to an organization like Black Fret to then distribute it directly to to a band or a venue. It'll be on both sides. Our VIPs will get the first distributions, and that's how it works. We want to make it as minimal bureaucracy as possible so that they can use it. It's not going to be attached to certain requirements, so that they can go out and use it how they need to. I mean, maybe they need to get a babysitter so that they can rehearse. Like, that's important too. Yeah.
What you have Katie Rain. You said Scott Strickland. Saw you got Ray Prim.
Katie's not on our platform, but everybody else you just mentioned is.
Okay. And Jessica Forsyth, Ray Prim. Did I mention him? Mm-hmm. Natalie Price, of course.
Yep. Jeff Plankenhorn.
Oh, the Plank.
Yeah.
Got that guy on here. He plays a lot of gigs.
Fragile Rock.
Oh, yeah, Fragile Rock. Quick aside, they're playing your launch event. Chris Condé, I love him. He's a great person.
Caleb DeCasper.
Also a great person. I had them both on. I had everyone on the show except for Jessica.
Awesome. Madam Radar.
I had them on my show. They're on your thing too. They play a lot. Yep. That would be a great. Seems like I don't think they don't have an agent, do they? They do all their stuff themselves.
No. Everybody, really, I don't think I only have one person that has two people now. Jeff just acquired an agent. And also Jessica and Guy Forsyth, they have an agent. So their agent is currently kind of looking at how that's going to work with their management agreement. But mostly it's independent artists. But we welcome agents on.
Yeah.
It would be a great management tool for them, efficiency tool.
It seems like it would be, and maybe they could lower their, I mean, it would be like...
Well, we don't want to double dip for musicians. Right. So we don't want to put them in the position of doing that because agents, don't historically have a history of altering their rates in that way. So what we will do for agents only, for like, if, high volume, essentially, they've got multiple clients that we're bringing on, where we'll have a licensing agreement for them so that they're not taking out our fee and their fee from the artist's pay. So that's something that we have to arrange with them, but we don't have, we haven't had an agent to take us on and do that with yet.
Yeah. What I was going to say about Fragile Rock, I saw them years ago, and I met Brentley, and I just kind of fell in love with that band. I became kind of obsessed with them. And then
me too.
And then I asked him, I talked to him, and when I did, he was like, "You really get what I'm doing, like you really." I was like, I get it. Not only do I get it, I would just walk around like thinking about it on the trail when I'm walking in the morning. And so I wanted to produce their first record, and I went to a rehearsal, and I did get them in theory, but as a musician and producer, I came into musical, and I think they all bummed out on me at that rehearsal. And they went with someone else. But I mean, I had a lot of, I came at it like, I came at it the wrong way. I saw the flaw in my ways, but still one of my favorite bands. And honestly, as weird as it sounds, even if nothing ever happened to them, that would be one of my greatest musical regrets, is not being part of that first record that they made.
I know, yeah.
It's really an interesting concept. I bet you get to see a lot of different music. Like, what do you listen to? Like, when you put on music, what do you listen to?
Well, it really depends on what I'm doing. I'm sure a lot of people have this. There's not just one type of music that you listen to. Like when I'm going and running, it's like my girl power playlist and like, hip hop and pop and all that stuff. And when I cook, I put on my world music, my French music, my Italian Highlands music. And when I'm feeling a little homesick and, thinking about family, I put on my like twangy country, like the good old 1990s kind of country music, maybe a little Johnny Cash and like old school music, old school country. And, if I'm calm and putting the kids to bed, it's classical or Spanish classical guitar. So it's all over the place.
You have kids?
I really love every genre. I do. I've got two roughly toddler age kids.
Wow. And it's like a 3-ring circus in your house, huh?
It really is. Yes. It feels like that quite frequently.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for what you're going to do. And I hope that everybody comes on board. This is a challenge to try and do something like this. And I do appreciate that you're out there doing it. And
thank you.
Looking forward to
it. And thank you for opening up to me and just being willing to take a tour and sharing your time and bringing me on the show today. It's a real honor. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, but for a while I would randomly ask musicians what podcasts they listen to, just so I could kind of tune in and, hear what they're into and that sort of thing. And like half of the local musicians in Austin, they said your podcast. And I was surprised to hear a number of them say the same thing. So
I'm flattered.
It's an honor.
I'm flattered, but I'm also pissed off because it's only half. Which ones didn't mention me? Name names.
I'll get you the list.
They'll never work in this town again. I said it twice on this podcast. That's good. I'm asserting myself. People can find you guys at AmptUp.com. You can sign up for the registration, and there's video tours.
That's right. There's a 2-minute demo there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person at the AmptUp launch event on Monday, March 14th, 12 to 3 at the Green Jay. I know that you got a full list of people, but I'm sure if someone knows someone, they can try and get in. That's what the name of the game is.
I think you're right, Johnny. I think we might have a special couple of spaces in our back pocket for a few of your closest high-quality musician friends. But we're also at the Artist Gifting Village or Artist Gifting Lounge at South by Southwest.
Oh.
So if you have a pass, it's open specifically to musician pass holders, but I would love to have them come see us there. We're going to have free massage therapy. We're going to have, little Bluetooth speaker giveaways, free tacos. So we have lots of different things happening on different days. I wanted to get a therapy dog there, but they wouldn't let us.
You can have my dog.
They won't let us bring it.
Oh, they won't let you bring any dog. Right. Of course, yeah, they wouldn't let you bring my dog. She's crazy. She needs a therapy person. Therapist. All right. Well, I wish you guys good luck. Everyone can find you guys at AmptUp.com. Holly Hagerman, thank you so much for doing the show, and good luck with everything. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you so much. Me too.
Shadows left behind.
All right, that was Holly Hagerman from AmptUp.com. Go to AmptUp.com and get more information. Come on up to the Amped Up launch event on Monday, March 14th, 12 to 3 with music from Scott Strickland, Fragile Rock, and Natalie Price. It's going to be a great time, all right? While you're out there checking out AmpedUp.com, don't forget that you can sign up or subscribe to our podcast on any platform where you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, Spotify, anywhere. New shows all the time. Sometimes 3 shows a week, like this last week. Damn, it's been a lot of things. All right, come on out to the Amped Up launch event on Monday, March 14th, noon to 3 at the Green Jay here in Austin. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Enjoy it. Come on out and see Skyrocket tonight if you live in San Antonio, Sam's Burger Joint. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Talk to you next week. Let's get down.
Such hope. A misread meaning, love.